Hi, my name is Camilo Jaramillo. With my partner, we're going to present our research article about university business administration students' behavior influenced by electronic devices in Colombia.
Okay, with the pass of time, the involvement of technology in the life of human beings is growing progressively thanks to the technological advances that are becoming indispensable tool in people daily lives, where telephones, tablets, all technology like computers, etc., are growing in progressive line uh, because the advances are very specific uh, tools for solving problems in human beings. So they are becoming indispensable for people daily lives. In 2019, COVID pandemic starts because so in Wuhan, one person contagious of COVID-19 with it's a virus that uh, gets sick people, and this becomes like a emergency, a global emergency, because according to medical studies, the their evidence like an environment of continuous virus. So we locked down by specific indications of the governments for saving our lives. In this progress of pandemic and lockout, the university students in confinement were forced for a change of environmental transition impact, and they were forced for digitalization as a mechanism of academic continuity in universities as solution of global health emergency of COVID pandemic. Uh, these students, university students, try to communicate in a virtual interaction to avoid like loneliness and feel social support in this situation that affects all the humanity for telling that. So in the university students in this confinement uh, were feeling bad, feeling like anxiously stressed. They were irritability. They were having mental health problems. So they uh, like uh, try to find something for distraction and like calm all these mental problems that the COVID-19 confinement provoke. So they start to involve more in technologies like video games, like video conference, like Zoom, uh, Teams, all these platforms that like make a social device for like passing the time of the confinement, and also pues, like they involve in technologies of computers, gaming, all that stuff. So, according to this, our research question is what effects do electronic devices have in the behavior of business administration students were interacting with more people physically after COVID-19?
So the justification that we did for this research article was mainly with the business administration students of the Javeriana university. So the main thing that we want to see is to implement some new strategies for understanding the business administration students since the lockdown was over. Because we already know that this was a very important uh, success. So we need to know if it's necessary to discover or create new strategies for the relationship with these generations, because we know that they interact with them, as my partner say, that they interact them with old electric devices. So the virtual classes also were a period that did affect their interaction between them, and it was like approximately 160 days that the students did not have face-to-face interaction. So that's why we need to evaluate the behavior since they return to interact with the people, because knowing how they are their new hobbies and how they spend their leisure time is important to determine the parents, and also help them for creating a new method for this new social problem that is education. Our objectives are mainly the identify how the social and educational behavior of business administration students is affected by the excessive use of electronic devices in the confinement caused by COVID-19. Our specific objectives are three. The first is to determine if there is a relationship between the time spent on electronic devices and attention to the teacher in class. So we want to correlate like these two variables in order to know if they can affect the way that students learn and stuff. Identify if university students can have the same social emotions and interact with people normally, or cause them some difficulty. Here we want to see some symptoms that they can have after the pandemic. So we want to see if the social emotions can correlate with the interaction with these people. And last, find out if social emotions are important for students to have better mental health. So, with the symptoms that they may have after the pandemic, the students, we need to know if they can treat their mental health with professional aid, or is not too high these mental health problems, so they can still relate with their partners in the classroom.
Okay, in the theoretical framework, we evidence like every people were completed isolated, and that was an effect of various factors of lifestyle in which it changed, and like the way that people like interact, because because they were being connected always with electronic devices and without a physical interaction with other people, causing also like psychological symptoms of depression and all the stuff that caused the lockdown of COVID-19 lockdown. So in here we also identify some aspects that uh, we may notice that a person changed or haven't changed in psychological symptoms, in which normal people uh, uh, don't have like effects with the lockdown of pandemic. So we identify some items like that are good people, like established people, without affecting the lockdown COVID-19. We identify that this person uh, don't have a psychological well-beingness. That person refers a self-acceptation of individuals with all aspects of themselves, without like pointing if that people um, thinks in another way. It is a person is a personal development, and also it begins able to establish healthy in relationships, and its mindfulness relationship with other people. Also, we identified that the university students have higher level of screen time, and like use multiple devices in higher rate comparing with the previous generations of us.
So our methodological design was principally a quantitative approach with a correlational type, as I mentioned before, in our objectives. So the sample size was selected by just by enrolled students in the program of business administration in Pontificia Universidad Javeriana. The principal things that is that they share similar socioeconomic and behavioral characteristics. For the way that some of the criteria that we use is that they only need the unique program that they are cursing is business administration and not other one. And the thing was that they need to be in sixth semester, like in a range of age, more or less, like of 20 to 22 years old. So the sample was for convenience, considering that they were selected with the criteria I mentioned before. The information that we gathered was virtually with a survey and at a time lapse between the June 15th and June 30th of this year. So the instrument, as I said before, was a survey that guaranteed information like age, sex, and socioeconomic status, where everyone was in a urban households mainly, and also we used some important points for they can if we how we can measure their stress level and also the attention in class. And they in the survey it was like the scale how it was divided. The results, as is shown here in the presentation, the first question was if they if they are cursing or they are studying at and if they are enrolled students from from Pontificia Universidad Javeriana, we had a total answer of 20 people. The second question was about their sex. Most of the answers were that they were men, and the socioeconomic um, status was the fourth question, where everyone was in between status 4 and 5, and the third question was about the age that, as I said before, these are from 19 to 21 years old. So in question 5, we can see like the how many time they spend in their electronic devices. So we can see that they spend too much time, 6 to 8 hours, and also the after pandemic, most people do not have any convenience to talk with anyone in the class. But anyways, there's 8 people who does have problems to interact with the people in the classroom. So these people needs to be treated, and also they need to be considered. Anyways, that 12 people do not have any inconvenience to talk or interact with the people in class. So the second question was the seventh question, sorry, was if they presented some symptoms of stress in the pandemic. So 14 people answered that they does, and the eighth question was if they have the enough control to um, deal with this stress level. And most people said that very often they can handle it. So it's very important to take this into account because it can be presumed that they don't need any professional aid. But anyways, there are 7 people who they cannot deal with this stress level. So we need these people needs to be treated. But anyways, we didn't take into account how they deal with this stress level. So I mean, what like the some methods that they use, I don't know, like talk with friends or going to a psychologist or something like similar. These methods are unknown, but anyways, it's a very good um, thing for these students. In question 9, people does consider that their performance in the academic since this face to face does been affected. So the education that as they see it like is being affected, like the virtual class to the face to face class is being affected to their performance. So is needed very important a change in the strategy of the teachers to know how to get the attention of them and they can acquire the knowledge in their classes. And finally, in the question 10, we can see like the attention level that they consider that they have. Most of them like answered that they do not like neither good or bad their attention. But anyways, we need that their attention needs to be very good to capture all the information that the teacher is presenting, and it's important to take more advantage of the technological advices that this generation does have. So in the conclusions, we can say that the correlation between the question 8, that was the how they manage their stress, does not have their correlation with the how they pay attention in class. So when they do not pay attention in class, like do not have to be correlated with the how they control their stress after they do accept that they suffer stress after pandemic. And correlate to the question 5 that is about the how much time correlates with the pay attention in class. The electronic devices does have a very important paper here because they does have correlation about how they paying attention in class in the classroom. So we can say that the behavior of Javier students administration have been changed but since the pandemic of the COVID-19 for or every events that they were closed, like the sports ones, cinemas and stuff, and also that the depression or also symptoms related to mental health led to stress to people that was working, because in the survey we do not answer or ask if they were working after pandemic, because some of the stress that they may have is not only because of the education level that is virtually, it's because also they can lose their work when they were starting. Also, we can conclude that the sex do not have any difference between their answers. Like we do not. Our objective was not to see if the sex have any difference, but anyways, it's a very important aspect if the electronic devices have different behavior between women and men, or mainly in the students of Javeriana University. Also, the review, the lead review that while we were searching in the for the article, thus there are a lot of them that says that there is we need to a change in the education system because people are not gathering the information from the teachers. So we need that new communication channels like Twitch, that is a communication channel online that interacts with people uh, on life, and they can and it does capture the emotions and all what the adolescents needs. So finally, to conclude, the pandemic influenced the behavior of the students, and the electronic devices affect the attention in classes, but the tendency is to apply the strategies to establish strategies for education and socialization, because there's a little percentage of students who it's difficult for them to interact. Also, in this article, it was determined that the correlation is high between electronic devices in attention in classrooms. And attention in classrooms is in inverse to the stress management that students have. Anyways, for those who can control these emotions, need professional treatment to interact with classmates. So thanks for your attention. This was our article.